I looked at that poll in this morning. It says that. So I'll assume there's a duct under there. So that's been there long enough to turn away to move on. I believe it's encased in concrete, but told me. Yeah. And the seven. Or the Maple Street if you want.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I can't hear you, but that's not, I don't know. Oh, it might be your volume. It's a nice view out your back deck there, back area.
Yeah.
Into
Can you
the
hear
woods. I still can't hear you. I don't know why.
All right. Hold on. I'll see if I can change that.
Oh, that's weird. I have like two audio things running at one time. Hang on. I had a governor's briefing YouTube window open from last night, and it, I guess, overrode the this audio. That was weird.
All right. Now, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Get out.
Never noticed that Christmas tree back there.
There we go.
Never noticed that Christmas tree back there.
That was made for me by an after-school program, first grader, my very first year here.
Oh.
Yeah, it has hung on the wall always. Not sure what's happening to it next, but.
Lovely.
Yeah, even though my name is spelled wrong, it's still, for first grader, it was really great.
Ed, you're sideways. There we go. Hey, Ed, hi, Dar.
Morning.
Hi.
Yes.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Hey, Les.
How are you, Chris?
I'm good. Woke up.
That's a good
Always
sign.
a good thing.
Yep.
Vertical.
Vertical.
It's a Red Bull day.
Red Bull day. I've never had Red Bull.
Me either.
It's,
Never had that.
Admittedly, I was not, I thought it was something else. Like I thought it would taste nasty, but it tastes like whatever juice is on the label.
Oh, that's what it is.
Quite fantastic and serves a very specific purpose. Hey, Jen. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Jean. Hi, Ed.
Hi.
So I think we have everybody we were waiting for. So we'll get started. Joyce is not with us this morning, so I'll be moving people in and out. Let me close my door. Okay. So just wanted to let folks know that. So for any motions, just bear with me. Hopefully we can move along. So we'll call the meeting, special meeting of Board of Selectmen to order. And the first item is the Park and Rec Director. So we all know that Leslie has given her her notice, and her last day is officially next Friday, a week from this week. And so we're here to have a discussion about immediate needs, next steps. Lynn's joined us as the chair of the commission, and I appreciate Lynn all the time we've spent making some
Already.
plans and ensuring
Yeah.
programs continue to move forward. So I think it's a couple of different buckets. Immediate needs, which I want to just touch on first with Lynn. Obviously the long-term director piece and the job description. So immediate needs, Lynn met with the commission earlier this week, I think it was, and they discussed filling the gap for after school program. And by all means, Lynn, hop in here. This is meant to be a discussion because you're a key person in this conversation. So they've identified a couple of people who the pinch point is right now their one employee for after school program is not of legal age. So she has to have an adult with her. So they've identified one person, and I know Lynn's working on at least one more to fill in the gap with a couple of adult staff. So Lynn you guys are gonna have a meeting tonight, right, for the commission to
Yes.
approve that person, the initial person, to get on board and talk to Leslie starting Monday, hopefully. So they have in the program, they have Leslie 9 to 10 kids every day, pretty much.
Our attendance rate has been a little better than it had been. So today I anticipate 8, but we've had 9 and 10. So, that's
What's the
better.
age range on that?
Kindergarten.
I know it varies, but.
Yep, kindergarten to 6th grade.
And you have a wide range of kids coming currently?
Yeah.
Wow.
Many of them are kindergarten, 1st, 2nd graders. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Lynn, do you want to speak to any more of the detail of those immediate needs for ASP or on to the other, into the summer?
Well, pretty much like you said, it's right now, my main concern is making sure that ASP is staffed properly and without any interruption. So the parents aren't worried about anything and we're just gonna flow nice and easy. Like you said, we do have one person and she already has her background checks. She should be completely eligible to come right in. I think we would just have to get her employee paperwork done. And if it works for her, I'd like to get her in there on Monday, if not Tuesday. She can't do Monday, and start her training with Leslie. And at least she would have 3 days with that. I'm going to be making some phone calls today to find hopefully some more over 18, because the following week, so this person that we have in mind can only do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. She's very willing to help, doesn't care about the pay. So we would still need to fill Thursdays and Fridays, hence the reason to find another over 18 person, as well as another possibly like a per diem counselor or somebody that can also fill in if whatever happens, just a backup. And the person who does Thursdays and Fridays maybe can also possibly fill in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If that person can't do it, just work the schedule out. It does have to be for the next about 2 months, 2.5 months. And the person that we have in mind is willing to do that. But again, we got to find that Thursday, Friday person. So that's where we're at now. May have more information tonight at that meeting as far as an over 18 person. And at that point, we'll figure it out from there. Gotta go
I think this is a good start to get ASP settled and filled so that those parents aren't worrying about that after school care. And we've been in touch with the school. Michelle Mott knows that there's that Leslie is leaving, and we're working with the Park and Rec to make sure that there's no gap.
So I think while it's a time of to thank Leslie for her time and her work and her efforts over the years, I think it's a really good time for Park and Rec, and certainly the Board of Selectmen, to reevaluate the roles and goals of Park and Rec, specifically with a director. I have history, Lynn. I sat in your chair a long, long time ago, as Leslie recalls. In fact, was instrumental in actually hiring a full-time person, because I, as the chair, was doing all the work, and that's typically what happened in those old volunteer days.
Mhm.
But that was a time when we had 4 Little League teams of the upper Little League. We had 2 lower Little League teams. We had a softball league, and it was very children focused. We had Emery Park, we had the after school program, we had that. It seems to me that that has changed over time due to the demographics. And I know you guys were working on programs, well, not a program, but on a large scale plan to sort of reconfigure and give us a perspective as how Park and Rec is shaping up for the future. I think this is the time to do that. I think this is the time for us to really talk about, do we share resources? Do we, do we put more on the volunteers? I know that when I had a board, we were all working. We all played. We were coaches. We were, we did a lot of things, and I know people are busy and on boards, and it's tough to get volunteers to do more. But I think it's an opportunity, and I'd love to hear what Park and Rec wants to do with the program and how to do, moving forward.
Yeah, Chris,
as an example, on the after school program, I recall, and help me, Leslie, I recall we had 15 to 17 kids at some point. To hear that you have 8, to me, sounds like that it's a money loser. Now, I don't mean to say, and I'm not categorizing that as a bad thing. I'm just categorizing it as a money loser, meaning that are we spending the right resources and getting the right goals? Could we partner with some group, some organization, or maybe find a different model that might work? I would love to see that, so that we maximize opportunities for everybody while still fulfilling the needs for those who we're trying to cover. Yeah.
Chris, it is a different kind of year with COVID and different, expectations and stuff. So it's not a quote unquote typical year. We have been doing very well in that program. It's been paying for itself. This year, obviously, it's not going to. And I just want to go back to what you said. I agree with you 100%. I think this is a very good opportunity to look at the job and see, where do we go in the future? And just for historical perspective, Chris, you may remember, so the first full-time Park and Rec director that was hired was a certified Park and Rec professional out of college. Mark. Yep, Mark, I still see him at conferences every year. But for him, it was a stepping stone. So he was here 2 years.
Yep.
And then he left. And then Chrissy came in. I don't even think she was here 3 months. I remember they had to call the police to go do a well check because she just hadn't been showing up for work. And so at that time, that commission then reevaluated the position and said, hey, we need somebody who knows our community and blah, 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 blah. But it may be time now to kind of reevaluate that.
So Leslie, if I were to ask you to, and there's nothing for you to worry about now at this point, now that you're retiring, to say, hey, this is who should be filling my shoes, and these are the things that they should be doing. And again, it's outside of it, no one's judging you or your answers. It's just trying to shape it for the future. What if you were to be rehired right now, and you would say, this is what we have to do to make this right, what would be your recommendations?
I think definitely the commission with their parks master plan and trying to shore up the 2 parks that, a person with park, however you address park maintenance or whatever, and the commission has talked about that a little bit, that is important. And you know, confidentiality is important, and somebody that can work with all different age groups, somebody that, you know, willing to jump in. If your summer camp director can't show up, you've got to go be that person. Same thing with after school. You know.
So if I can get more specific, do we need an after school program? Just yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need Emery Park?
Yes.
I believe
Okay,
we need
good.
Emery Park.
And again, I'm not making any judgments here. I'm just asking a simple question.
Yep.
Do we have enough children to create good programs for them in the summertime, whatever it's going to be? And is that needed?
This year or other years?
Yeah. See, with COVID, everything is so different.
Yeah, forget COVID. We're trying to plan for another 22 years, I think.
Sure. Summer camp. Yeah. Summer camp is a very, you know, well-received program.
Okay. Could this be done on a part-time basis from a director?
I've had that thought. Is this the time to go part-time for programming and part-time for like park maintenance, park?
So it's a possibility. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Not my place to say,
helpful.
but something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think. And yeah, you don't want too much time to go by before a new director comes in, but I think it's the time to, you know, consider all those options.
Do you think it would be feasible to find, I'm making it up, a neighboring town to share recreational directorship with, like, or, you know, somebody could split part-time, kind of like we've done with like the assessor. The assessor has been sort of in many different places. Barbara as a treasurer is in different, you know, is there a way that we could maybe do that or not?
So the only town that we would be able to do that would be Cornwall, because that's a part-time. Salisbury and Sharon and Canaan are full-time. Falls Village is part-time.
Yeah, I'm not saying it in the practical. I'm just in the theoretical. Could it be done? Do you think if you reorganized your position, do you think it could be done such that someone could do it part-time and most beneficially if it was someone local, you know, next door or, you know, nearby, such they could be close enough to do that? Is that feasible?
Right, share because they're doing it in another town already.
Yeah.
Do you think that's realistic?
No.
Okay. You think it's not a part-time job where somebody would do two towns or?
Yeah, I'm not, you know, I mean, I guess it really depends on how many programs you're going to be doing and stuff. I mean, obviously, and I know you don't want to talk COVID, but the present is very different from even 2 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what's your sense going forward? I mean, you know, it's hard for any of us to guess, but your demographics, and I know we with the recommendation from Park and Rec took you off sort of the senior component of it. But do you see demographically the children's end becoming larger, the same, less?
It possibly be a little bit larger just because there's more children at the school. So it's kind of swinging back in the other way, you know, from when I first started. But you know, we're not going to have 300 kids or 350 students at the school.
And it's more to the point when, you know, years ago when I was coaching baseball, there was sort of a preordained situation where everyone played baseball because that's really what you did. Right. That's not the case anymore. There are people who just don't play those sports. They do other things. Or
they do one sport all year round.
Well, they do. Yeah, you're right. More likely. Yeah. And so I'm just wondering, is that having a substantial effect on programming that you've been doing?
Currently, yeah, we've been doing a lot of co-oping with Cornwall and or Sharon, where the rec directors are putting together a summer program for Little League. So, you know, there'll be a program for Little League that meets once a week in a town to be determined depending on how many children sign up, and they'll do skills and drills, and then they'll play games, pick up games with however many kids are there. You know, they'll just divide them up and play.
And what outside of the traditional sports like that is Park and Rec undertaking under your directorship for those who no longer go into the sports, but they do want recreation?
Yeah, I mean, we had been doing figure skating lessons. We also have a martial arts program, but they've been meeting in Warren outdoors, and they're going to restart for the spring.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ed, did you have any comments or questions as we're sort of walking through, peppering Leslie with her pearls? And
we kind of moved away from ASP. Are we done with that?
I wanted to wait until tonight's meeting to listen to the board and see what directions they kind of wanted to go in also, because we can hash this out. But I was in the same position as Chris. I was on the board for years. I coached all the sports at one point. And I saw a lot of kids leaving town to go play lacrosse and doing the other sports, and the numbers dwindled down to nothing. Well, they had a few teams, but not enough. So I agree with Chris. I agree with Leslie. I think the after school program, is that really for Park and Rec? I think that's up for them to decide and tell us what they want to do, if they want to continue with it. I know it's a valuable after school program for working parents. Emery Park has always been one of those crazy topics where a lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, a lot of people don't use it. So it's not going to change. The water is going to be Emery Park water. So, and everybody knows that uses it. So that's going to be a discussion, I think, with the group. If they have enough people to use it, then I think it's worth keeping it. So that's why I think it's going to be more of the committee to listen to tonight and decide where they want to go. And I'm ready to move it.
And just to piggyback that, I think there needs to be an understanding of, we are offering recreational sports. Some people are looking for a higher level and more specialized, and that's why they go out of town.
And,
yeah.
A lot of people left town because they, like you said, they wanted to play almost year round certain sports. Right. And that's not the fault of you or the Park and Rec committee, but a lot of kids didn't want to play the traditional soccer.
Right. Which is why we have, the rec directors in the region, we have changed our baseball program so that we can have a joint team, cooperative team from the 6 towns that play under the Little League charter through Canaan.
Right.
So that's for, those youngsters that are looking for that more skill set.
Right. It was the same as when the Park and Rec basketball was kind of competing with the hockey. I mean, it was a thing, but we had a lot of kids that played basketball, even playing hockey. So
yeah, and that's all changed.
Right.
But now we do have a regional team that goes and plays other, instead of an in-house program, we play other teams from other towns. So
yep. Okay, I'm done.
Thanks, Ed. So to circle back around, Lynn, I think I feel comfortable with where you're heading with ASP. I think you have coverage, and you're going to be able to make sure that that's a seamless piece to get us to the end of the school year. And then it's probably a good idea to, take the first couple of months of the summer and make sure you have all your ducks in a row. And that's what you want to, the way the program is how you want it to continue to the next school year. So the other, now long-term. So there's it's a summer baseball league that you're doing. And the other big programmatic piece is the concerts, which seems to be moving forward and progressing. But, you know, as we come out of COVID and fingers crossed, things are going to start to, you know, open up more and normalize more, and we'll be able to get more programming and people will be able to be outside. I think the pressure is on to get a, whatever this is going to look like, to get a new person in place. So I worry taking a 6-month view of this. I think we need to, and I think the Park and Rec Commission is eager to move forward with this. So I think that we should put together a search committee. Lynn and I talked about this last night, of 3 Park and Rec commissioners, Ed, and then 1 member at large. And that could be Leslie. I don't know if Lynn had a chance to connect with you this morning.
No.
She was going to get your thoughts on who that member at large might be, whether it's somebody who's got experience in sort of sports league team sort of atmosphere, where, you know, somebody who's been a coach for a long time or what have you, or even a Park and Rec director from another town.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
So just so we can move along, I'm going to make a motion to create a Park and Rec director search committee consisting of 5 members. I need a second to get to discussion.
Second.
Thanks.
So my comments would be that what would be very helpful, I think, before you go out and seek someone and put it in on Indeed and all the other places, that we have a real clear perspective based on, you know, exit interviews with Leslie in terms of her perspective as to what's going forward, and Park and Rec's real directive as to what they see going forward. Because it seems to me that, you know, once somebody's in place, then you just get into a simple and the same routine. And it would be more comforting for me to understand how this position is going to grow. I mean, right now it's a pretty expensive component, which is certainly you know, paid off in the manner of which we've had. But I think maybe, and I'd like, you know, I really would like Park and Rec to think hard long term, really how this morphs, whether it's part-time, whether it's you know, how do we tap other different programs, and maybe the director doesn't have to run it all, that we get, you know, you get volunteers, or you get people who are paid. And I don't know. I don't know what specifically it is, but I just don't want to go out and hire another person and slot them into what Leslie's doing, and without real thought as to whether the Park and Rec long-term needs that or wants that. And
so we do need to create a charge for this committee. So that could be part of the charge, would be to.
Well, yeah, I don't want to dictate Chris Garrity's thoughts on how it comes. I think it really has to come from Park and Rec. All I'm asking is that Park and Rec really do a deep dive into, do we really need, how do we really need, what do we really want? You know, and if they come out saying we need an exact what we had with Leslie, well, then that's what they've done. At least they've gone through that process. And they may have already done that. And I'm not trying to sell them short. Lynn, your board may have already done that, but I would love to hear how you've done that and how you're thinking these components would work. And that would just be, for me, more comforting, and also more sort of salient when you're talking to somebody who's a prospect.
So I guess with all that's been said, a couple years ago when the town did all the job description overhaul, Park and Rec did as well, and that was approved by the Board of Selectmen.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we have this short amount of time to, well, whatever amount of time, but we're hoping it's quick to come up with a new director, I don't know that it's fair that we take that job description that we just did and overhaul it again in this immediate need. You know, we can't, I don't think we have the time right now without putting so much more on everybody's plate to overhaul it. That's going to take some time to do it correctly. We only meet once a month. You guys meet twice a month. And, you know, we have a lot of, as you guys, we're all busy. So I think if it was going to be changed, and I'm not saying that the job description doesn't need to be changed again. I'm just saying we just did it and it was approved, and to have to do it again now when we are in a time crunch is, I don't know if that's really feasible. It's going to take at least 2 months minimum to get a new director anyway. And we commissioners, Board of Selectmen, will be doing the work until then. And me. So that's how I feel about the job description. As for full-time, part-time, that thought has been in my mind, whether it's maybe 2 part-timers, one that does the maintenance sports part of it, and one that does more of the administration. Just again, that's just something I'm throwing out. I have not discussed that at all with my commission. But I personally am not opposed to that. On top of taking the time, we discussed it, you know, if summer camp is going to be allowed this year, then we have to get on that. We have to start looking for lifeguards. I don't know those rules or if that's even going to be allowed. You know, like we stated, things are opening up, so we can possibly have more counselors. I have not discussed that with Leslie. We have summer baseball coming up. So we have programs that we need a director to deal with that I personally, that's not my thing. I know about it from being on the commission for so long, but that would be a lot of extra stress on us. So we really need to get somebody in here that knows what they're doing and can kind of hit the ground running, and hopefully we can find that person, but it does need to be done sooner than later. I think taking the time to do a complete job description is not feasible at this moment. But on the other hand, I agree with you in the fact that the person we hire should have the proper job description, not come in with one job description and then we change it around. Although I don't necessarily see the duties changing, just the physical paper itself, like duties that are listed on the job description that maybe are things that don't have to be written. These are like obvious things maybe, or just things you're taught about the job. It maybe
right.
shortens the job description or consolidates something.
Yeah, I think
which again, yep.
Sorry, I think there is some easy cleaning up to that job description. That's more tasks versus roles and responsibilities. I agree. And I'd have to talk to Randy, but what if we talked about an interim director where we bring somebody on board to fill this gap. And that would sort of let off a little bit of the steam as far as this time crunch and more, you know, we have programs that are coming up. We have, you know, tasks and things that need to be done and monitored and maintained. But it would also give the commission an opportunity to take a breath, really do that deep dive that Chris is talking about.
Jean, that for historical purposes, that was done prior to my appointment hiring. They had someone part-time who came in and like would go through emails and mail. And, you know, I did yesterday, I wrote up the whole process for the Eventbrite, which is for the after school program. That's something that somebody needs to do every morning and get to the school, you know, usually by 10, somewhere between 10 and 11. And then the school emails back to say, you know, they agree with the list or they don't agree with the list.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's a task that someone is going to have to do. I will come back. I have to work at the after school program next Thursday, but I'm going to come back after I'm done and do the bills. So the bills will be done for the month of March and get those sent out before I leave. And even like the after school time cards need to get picked up and come over for Barbara, you know, by Tuesday. So
Lynn, I'm
I
not,
might have to, yeah.
I didn't mean to suggest that the job description was something that you had to, you know, really look into vis-a-vis hiring a person. What I was getting at is Park and Rec's philosophy is where they want to go with the directorship. And that's really where I was going after. And because there's an opportunity, going back to it, the reason and the philosophy that the Park and Rec, back when I was on it, hired Mark was specifically to hire somebody new, young, right out of the program, out of school, if you will, knowing we were only going to keep him for 2 years because we weren't paying him a lot. It was a stepping stone to take it to the next level. But what we asked of him was to bring school-based and Park and Rec knew the world out there that we weren't really that familiar with to the programming. And that's really what we were asking of him. And that's really where I'm going at it is when you find somebody new, what's the programming that Kent and us in our little world have never really thought about? And can we then take that and implement that? And, you know, sometimes you have to, maybe we have to pay a full-time person. Maybe we have to pay them more. I don't know, but that's really what I'm getting at. Not so much the job description itself vis-a-vis, this is what we expect from you. Because I think that's what's important, at least for me to understand, as to where we're going to go and take with, take this. Because, and even though I'm somewhat intimately involved in it, I believe that Joe taxpayer out there looks at Park and Recreation and says, I don't see much going on, and I'm paying X amount of money a year in the budget, and I don't use Emery Park, or I don't do this. And I think we need to help people understand how Park and Rec is manifesting. And yeah, I would put forward that the relationship with the elder community was a step in that direction, where people outside of the kid system saw that there was much more impact. I'm not suggesting that we go back to that, but I'm just giving that as an example of how it broadened the perspective. I think the concerts on the green show people at the town hall, show people that we're doing more. Park and Rec is doing more than just, children's affairs. And it's pretty straightforward that we have fewer children. So if that's the case, where are our resources going? That's really more of the bent of where I'm leaning.
Yes, Chris, and I would say in conjunction with that is, does the town want a Park and Rec, someone with a Park and Rec degree, or not?
That has to come from Park and Rec itself.
Yeah.
I think we just have to trust that they know what they're doing, because they are setting the goals. But I don't, if you can set up the system, and I think this is what Jean was saying, you can set up the system such that you don't have to rush to hire someone. Then you have the opportunity to say, okay, this is the direction we want to take, or this is how we want to do, and then hire specifically for that. Or you just go out and hire somebody, and then they're the ones that are going to start being creative and bringing to bear what they think. I don't know.
Yep.
So we do have a motion on the table about the selection committee, just to bring us back.
Jean, did you want that motion to be more specific, to say who those 5 members are? 3 from Park and Rec, 1 selectman, 1 member at large, as opposed to just 5 people?
Sure.
Then you have to go to another meeting, because we don't know who those 5 people are yet.
Well, that's okay. It's just that it would be 3 from Park and Rec. And
not names.
Yeah, not
right,
names.
not
just more specifically than 5 people.
Correct.
Okay.
So do we think that this is putting the cart before the horse as far as having a selection committee? I mean, we have to figure out what their charge is going to be. It can, you know, these things always take time, creating any committee and having, you know, the first meeting and figuring out schedules. So that will buy a little bit of time for the commission to have these conversations that Chris is talking about, which I think are great conversations to have. But it also has the committee in place when you all are ready to start a search. And just to go back to the interim director, again, I'll just double check with Randy, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't have a part-time hourly person to be continued just as a gap filler to make sure that these tasks continue to happen that need to happen every day.
How do you go about filling that position more quickly?
So is there anyone on your board? Is there anyone on your board with experience that would be willing to be an interim director?
I don't think there's anybody on my board with the time to do that.
Well, that's the question, whether it's time or whatever. It's got to be,
yeah.
You know, do they have
availability?
The to be, yep.
I mean, one's having a baby, you know, they're teachers, they're full-timers.
Well, but that's when you ask the question, where do you get the interims? That's the first look. The second look is the, you know, in town at large, somebody who has been tangentially tied to Park and Rec. That's just answering the question. I don't know whether you're doing that or not.
That's
this is a new concept.
That's why I think we should continue with getting a committee done, and then the committee can sort of hash this stuff out too. The hiring committee, if they decide to hire an intern person or not for the interim while they're looking. I think it'd be good to put this committee together with the 5 people. At least they can get picked and then get started, and at least they're already formed and don't have to be formed later.
Right.
Yeah, and how do you define the committee, the member at large? You know, is that something we're gonna quote unquote advertise for, or are we gonna leave it up to Park and Rec to identify that person?
I think we can leave it up to Park and Rec to decide.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're a pretty good committee, and we can ask you always. We can call you at home after you're retired, even. For your
oh, you think so? Okay.
You forgot to tell them you're changing your cell phone number, Leslie.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Lynn was definitely going to reach out to Leslie for her recommendations on somebody for that member at large.
Yeah.
So I think the commission is.
And I think one of the other rec directors would be a really good choice.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So as far as a charge, because we want to give them a mission, basic direction. What do we want?
On the committee, then you can give us the charge. I mean, we know it's to look into hiring new Park and Rec director by the established guidelines, and then just go from there, because we know we're not going to do this right away, so we can always work with the Board of Selectmen and the Park and Rec to hear their thoughts also.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I haven't looked at your agenda for tonight, Lynn, but that would be a good topic to cover. So are we ready to vote on this? All those in favor of creating a search committee for the Park and Rec director signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on that, Lynn, I'm not completely confident I understand the urgency that Park and Rec has for replacement. So Leslie, when are you done?
Next Friday. Next Friday is a holiday, so next Thursday.
Okay, so let me just ask the question. Next Thursday comes, what the heck happens? And how do we help you to make it happen? So you talked about, let's get back to the ASAP program. Right? Is there a budgetary issue with the ASAP, meaning you have to hire somebody else? Or do you need something else there? Yes, you know.
We
Yes.
do need to hire at least 2 more people, if not 3.
Do
It
you
should
have
not-
the funds to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so then just do it,
Okay.
right? Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Get it done.
that
That's
stuff
what
we
they're
don't have
doing.
to come through Selectmen for.
Yeah. And
Yeah, no, I know, but just,
We're
so
good.
I'm just trying to go through your needs.
yeah,
So now
Yep.
yep.
the
So,
next Thursday
like I said,
comes
we
and
have-
at least you got that covered.
right. So next Thursday will be the last day. So hopefully the person that, this person will be trained with Leslie, and come next Monday, the following Monday, she will be able to get in there.
Okay.
The only thing is that she'll be there like at 3:10. But
Your call.
the counselor will be there at 3. So it will be covered. It should work out fine. Again, we're in a tight situation here. Our ASP director gave her notice for personal reasons. So Leslie's been filling in that position. And so we've been looking for an ASP director without much luck. So it's not an easy position, you know, from 3 to 5:30 every day. And we were lucky enough to have Sue Vizzari for a number of years, and lucky enough to have, you know, Leslie able to fill those in. And even commissioners have, you know, filled in a few times when Leslie was out from her foot and things like that. But it wasn't easy to get these people in there, and that commissioner isn't even with us anymore, part of the commission.
So you think you should be
So-
able to handle that without too much stress?
I think hopefully, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then, so then the other programmatic issues in front of you would be gearing up for Emery Park and gearing up for summer camp there.
Summer baseball,
And-
which Leslie talks to the area rec directors about, because that's a conglomerate thing.
Yeah.
So that would require me or whomever, or interim or whoever, to get on those meetings to keep up with that.
Right. So
Be
the 3
involved with
big
that.
things are the summer baseball, the concert series, and summer camp. And with COVID still lingering, there's a lot of interaction that
Extra.
somebody needs to have with, like Lynn said, all of these meetings that are coming up, sector guidance, you know, plus marketing, paperwork, plus. So that's why I think we need to really talk about, have the search committee get somebody at least part-time that can come in, step in, somebody who's really organized, somebody who is, you know, park and rec focused, that can work with the commission to make sure that there's no gaps here.
Right. But again, getting into the weeds and the specifics, there's no spring baseball?
No, there is not.
Okay. So if there's no spring baseball, there's only summer league.
Right.
Do you have coaches lined up for the summer leagues?
So that's going to be a regional program.
Okay.
So we're doing that together regionally. That registration will go out. Well, I'll try to get that out before I go.
So
And
when you
it's-
say that, does that mean you're just advertising it in Kent and some kids sign up and then they go into the regional system?
Yes,
Yep.
Okay. So there's
All
really
those-
not a lot to do there.
right. All those are
Okay.
going to be regional, and the other
All
rec
right.
directors can
So that you
handle
guys
it.
don't really, Park and Rec doesn't have to
Okay.
worry about somebody for the most part overseeing that.
Right.
So really it's more just the Emery Park and the concert series?
Yep. And we also have tennis camp set up, but one of our commissioners is doing that on a volunteer basis. So
And what is the tennis camp? Just somebody, you hire an outside tennis person to teach them?
the person we have someone on the commission who's done that before, who volunteered his time to offer that this summer.
I see. So, but that's a program that's already in, so it's not like it needs a ton of oversight.
Right.
All right.
No, but
So-
Leslie processes, you know, like payments and registrations and waivers and, you know, the logistics of everything, marketing, advertising. So there's, you know, a cadre of micro tasks that come with any of these programs.
I'm
that-
going to challenge that a little bit, because
Sure.
having done that, it's not, and you know, no disrespect, but it's a simple processing of fees and applications. I've seen it before. I've actually done it before. It's not that challenging, and you're probably talking 7 kids, 10 kids max. So
No,
I think they were
I'm not,
hoping for
again,
more like 15, but anyway, I don't disagree
all I'm
with you,
trying to
Chris.
get at is the machinations of what have to happen when Leslie leaves. That's going to be put on to the Park and Rec. And as long as I can feel comfortable that they're in control of that, then I'm more comfortable listening and waiting for a group to vet that scenario or the new person, rather than, and this was really the thrust of my question to Lynn is, oh my gosh, deer in headlights, director's gone and now we have all this ton of work to do that. But a lot of it's already been set up, or a lot of it's already been offshored, if you will, with a regionalization. So I'm comfortable, at least from what's being discussed here, that right now we have some time to be able to go through the process that you're talking about. And Lynn, that you feel good with that?
Well, so who's going to do all those little tasks?
You guys, Park and Rec.
Yeah, we all work full time, Chris.
I get it, but I mean,
we're not doing those little tasks, and besides the fact that we're not even allowed in the building.
Okay, well then it seems silly to me to go out and hire a full-time person just to do that when maybe you could find an interim person.
I think that's what we've been talking about.
So that's what we're talking about.
Exactly that's why I brought it up. That's what we've been talking about, to bring in a part-time person who can make sure that all of the little,
and I said, how do we get that person
get handled?
Yes, and that needs to be done quickly. So
that's
and
the
I
immediate
think that
thing.
person can be a part-time person. I don't think that you need to bring in somebody full-time.
Okay.
I was misunderstanding there. I thought we were talking a little bit of both. Still, we need to get somebody in there to do those tasks.
Right.
Yeah, I understand.
I'll help as much as I can, but
right.
Yeah, no, what I understand was that it is some sort of part-time or interim or somebody, whomever, to take it. But then I was really addressing, did you have an immediate need to have somebody right away? And talking to Leslie and listening to the programs, it doesn't sound like you need that. You do have some time to then consider, as the 5 on that group will do, to really figure out what and how to best service you guys.
So an interim director, we're all good with, so that's good. We can take the time to find a full-time director.
That sounds great.
That's why I was getting confused. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's what you mean, right?
Yep.
That's why I was getting confused. Okay. So tonight we will discuss that and finding an interim director. So if my board tonight approves all this stuff we've talked about, do I come back to you guys to start looking for that interim, or do we do that? Do we just start putting the word out on social media? Do we
so you find it, you all feel comfortable with it, then bring it to us and we just hire them.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we do need to, the search committee and or the commission should parse out the duties of that person. So when we put it out on Indeed or, put it out on the website, that somebody at least has an idea of what they're going to be doing in that position. And you need to talk about how many hours a week, some of the logistics.
That sounds good. We'll work on that.
Okay.
Any other immediate concerns, Lynn or Leslie? And, obviously we can always, my phone number, Lynn, the amount of times we've talked in the last 4 days.
I got it. Yep. I think that's it. Looking through some notes.
Sure.
And if something critical comes up, don't hesitate to reach out to Jean.
Okay.
That is just.
I mean, that's one of the many components is if there's an emergency at the after school program, right now it's set up that, you know, they would call me on my cell phone. So somebody needs to be designated to take that role.
Okay.
You know, little things like that. So
Yeah.
I can start putting together a list of like, you know, like so every week the after school attendance gets logged into the computer. There's a program that I have, and that's what we use to do the bills, and the bills have to get done once a month. You know, they're not difficult. They don't take a super long time, but you know, they're parts of the things, and then emails in the mail. And then food, you know, perishable foods for the after school program.
I think that's all I have of now. Again, if something comes up, I know how to reach y'all.
Okay. Super.
We'll have Ed there tonight. And Leslie, you're joining us tonight, I hope.
I will be there. Highlight on my Friday night.
Gonna get all dressed up.
Maybe have a party.
Yeah. Everybody get their oh no, this is a real meeting. Don't get your
So if you're good, Lynn, we're going to move on to the next topic. But again, if you know, if anything comes up, you know how to reach us for sure.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Lynn.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie, for all the good info here for sure. So we're going to move on to our next topic, which we're going to go into executive session to discuss the assessor position. So I'm going to put, I'm going to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the open assessor position and invite Jennifer Dubray to join us. Just need a second. Did we lose Chris? Oh no, there you are.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Donna and Darlene, I'm going to put you both in the waiting room. Take me a second. We're back. I think that's everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to make a motion to happily promote Jennifer Dubray to the new Town of Kent tax assessor at the budgeted salary that was approved in the 2021 budget. And I need a second for that.
I'll second it.
We'll both second it. How about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Fantastic. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
A very resounding aye.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations
you.
and welcome back.
Thanks.
And thanks for persevering, you know, while we had our extended conversation.
No problem.
And go ahead, Chris.
I gotta get going. So
Yes. So we're gonna continue the conversation about the insurance share. I have to call Brent and Charlie up in North Canaan. We would have to make a policy change. So that's something that we need to work on, but I want to have the conversation with Charlie and Brent, and then we got to work on changing the policy. Any other questions, comments?
No, but you will let Jen know the full discussion of the hiring of this position and the salary, correct? You said what was budgeted right now. So I guess that covers it. No, I'm good. Okay.
Okay. Super. And so we'll make a motion, or I will adjourn the meeting at 12:05.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jen. Have a great vacation.
Thanks.